Hey, pal.
So who needs enemies when you have Steve Bannon? The war, a full-fledged civil war, is up and running, right? These Republicans hide the women and children because I have a feeling this is going to get ugly.
Look, Bannon is a warrior. He's a crusader. He's a purist. And he has declared war on Republican moderates, Republicans who he believes are not fully in line with Trumpian ideology. But he can afford to do that. He's outside the White House. When you're inside the White House and trying to cobble together a governing majority, the world looks very different. You need moderate Republicans to create a majority, and it was starkly clear in the failure to repeal Obamacare that 3 or 4 Republicans could kill that. So, and also there's history here. Everybody in Missouri remembers what happened when the Republicans nominated a candidate against Claire McCaskill, Aiken, who couldn't win, was highly popular among hardcore Republicans, but couldn't win a general election. And there are at least 5 states in which this happened. Missouri was not alone. It happened in Delaware. It happened in Colorado. It happened in Nevada. It happened in Indiana. So in many ways, the people who are most happy with Bannon's war on moderate Republicans are the Democrats who think that's a recipe for Republicans shooting themselves in the foot and repeating history by nominating candidates who are very popular with the conservative base of the party but can't win statewide in a state like Missouri.
What I don't understand is somebody like Debbie Fisher, the senator from Nebraska. She was a Tea Partier. She burst onto the scene, anti-Obama Tea Partier. She was sort of caught up in that wave. And now all of a sudden she's considered the establishment. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a definition of what establishment is other than somebody who was sitting as an elected official.
Well, that's because when you are in office, whether you're a senator, whether you're a governor, the practicalities of governing inevitably have a moderating effect because governing involves compromises. Governing involves dealing with the other side. If you're just in office to make speeches, if you're just in office to spout theology and ideology and go on Fox News and please the base of the party, okay. But you want to be part of the process. If you want to sit on committees and negotiate legislation, you've got to deal with the other party, particularly in the Senate where the Republicans only have 52 votes. And everybody knows that it takes 60 to override the Democratic filibuster. So, and this is even more true among Republican governors. You look at how many states, whether it's Nevada, Governor Sandoval, Iowa, Ohio, Governor Kasich, Massachusetts, Governor Baker, Maryland, Governor Hogan, all Republicans who would be considered sellouts by Steve Bannon, but they've got responsibilities. They've got to deal with reality and not just ideology.
So the other thing is interesting is if you look at the landscape here, Donald Trump has thrown DACA back to the Congress. He's thrown health insurance payments back to the Congress, and he's thrown the Iranian deal back to Congress. That's loading up the cart, and they still got to get through tax cuts. It seems like he's going the wrong way if he wants to try and work with Congress to get some big things done.
Well, the real question is what's behind these gestures. On one hand, clearly there's a pure political purpose. His base has been very restive and restless with their failure particularly to repeal Obamacare or really do anything else except for the approval of Justice Gorsuch. The legislative record is terrible. So by taking these executive orders, by making these statements, the president is clearly making a political gesture to his base. The question is whether it's just a gesture or whether he really does mean to entice Democrats into a negotiation. And, he has prided himself on being a negotiator his whole life. He's prided himself on being a deal maker. It's a very interesting question about whether this is just a political gesture, particularly on health care, or whether he really means to enter serious negotiations. And by the way, the pressures that he's under from the Steve Bannons on the right, there's a mirror image for Democrats on the left. If there are Democrats who enter into serious negotiations on health care, they're going to have to make significant compromises in order to maintain some of the insurance protections. And the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party are going to put a lot of pressure on the Democratic leadership not to deal with the devil. So there are pressures on both sides pulling negotiators apart.
I don't understand why Donald Trump gets credit for Neil Gorsuch. Mitch McConnell should get all the credit for Neil Gorsuch. He was the one who stood up and said, "I'm not bringing Obama's guy, right? I'm gonna stand pat." So Mitch McConnell's the guy who deserves the credit, and he's the one being ostracized.
Well, again, it's because McConnell is dealing with the real world. He's dealing with the fact that he was very successful, much to the outrage of Democrats in blocking Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland to the court, and that was a brilliant, if very cynical, legislative or tactical ploy. But in the real world, he's got to deal with the fact that he's got 52 votes, and Democrats can filibuster just about anything except under special rules. He's got some moderates who, like Susan Collins of Maine, who don't go along with a lot of the conservative program. You've got mavericks like John McCain of Arizona, who facing probably a fatal illness and is liberated from political considerations. You've got senators like Bob Corker of Tennessee, who's not running again, also feeling liberated for political considerations. So McConnell, in the real world, has got a very difficult job, even though on paper he's got a majority. And that doesn't play well with the conservative base of the party, who wants theology, not reality, and wants victories, not compromises.
Stephen Roberts, always a pleasure to have your insights. Have a good day.